Okay, Phillip, I appreciate you joining me today to have a little conversation about yourself and about this campaign. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Houston, Texas, is where I was born. My mother and my father worked for NASA on the Apollo 11 mission. So we were raised in Dickinson on the Dickinson Bayou till about junior high, and then I moved in with some family in Conroe, Texas, and graduated high school there and got here in 1984. My mother got here in 1979, and I've been here off and on since 1976 was the first time we got here, as we were driving from Texas to Florida for NASA. My father was the head electrical engineer, as I said, on the Apollo 11 project, and they were designing the space shuttle at that time. So we would spend our summers in Cape Canaveral.
So you're sort of a rocket scientist.
I'm related to one. I'm not, by no means am I a rocket scientist.
So you graduated in Texas?
Texas, Conroe, Texas, 12th grade. The highest education I've had.
You went straight to work.
Went straight to work. I was born with dyslexia. Back in those days, people really didn't know what dyslexia was, so I was legally declared deaf, dumb, and blind in the state of Texas.
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure I'm not deaf. I'm pretty sure I'm not dumb, and I know I'm not blind. So, but you know, that was a long time ago, and they've learned a lot about dyslexia since then. And my children have had two of my children have had dyslexia, and we caught it early enough, and it never turned out to be a problem if you can catch it early enough.
Right, right. Well, what kind of work did you get into once you graduated from high school?
My family's Cajun, Creole, Louisiana. So we've had shrimp boats, seafood markets, seafood restaurants. So when I was little bitty, I was working a shrimp boat. And as soon as I graduated from high school, I took wood shop in high school and loved wood. And I've been a carpenter all my life. I've only done one thing. This is it. I worked for a company, a friend of mine. One time I fell on hard times back in Texas. I've traveled from Florida back and forth to Texas a few times because I still own properties in Texas. And while I was in Texas one time, I worked for a buddy of mine that owned a cable company. And we pulled cables for churches and banks and did that for a while and said, no, this isn't for me. I like outside work. So I just stuck with what I have, what I'm doing now. And I started out in building houses. Did that for Benoit Laurence when we built Caroline Beach a long time ago. And finally, I got tired of people making a liar out of me, so I thought to myself, what profession can I do that only needs me? Carpentry, and that's how I came up with marine construction. I don't do there's no plumbing for me to do there. There's no electrical. They do need that stuff, but they hire licensed contractors to do that. So nobody can ever make a liar out of me at my business. When I tell somebody I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there.
10-4.
So, you know, in the building industry, you got to rely on a lot of people, and sometimes they don't make it on time. And when they don't make it on time, makes you look bad. So
I've got a little experience with that.
absolutely, and it's not something that people do on purpose. Sometimes circumstances happen. You know, things happen, accidents, everything.
So you moved here full time about when? What year?
In 1984, I was here, and then I left for a year. Went back to Texas in 1997. That's when my twins were born. And then I came back at the end of '97, stayed here full time as well.
Have you ever served in the government here at all? Any planning commissions, any boards, committees, anything like that?
No, never done. This is my first stint. God opened the door, and I jumped through it with a leap of faith.
Now, as far as campaign financing, how much money have you raised so far?
Almost $7,000.
And have you taken any campaign contributions from the Foreman family in Davie, Florida?
I've taken $700 from outside people. All the rest is my own money.
Okay.
There's been 7 $100 contributions, and 5 of them I don't even know who they are. 2 of them are people that I met at meet and greets. They gave me a check for $100. Each one has been 7 people. Each person donated $100. And I couldn't tell you who the other 5 were. My brother, I have a younger brother that helps me with my office business, and I have a nephew that's helping me with my campaign stuff and my office stuff. And he goes to school, college, and he's home on summer break, and he's going to be a sports announcer.
Okay.
So he's kind of used to cameras and equipment and things like that.
I sure could have used him.
Yeah, well, it's all right. We'll get there. Most of it's come out of my pocket, though.
10-4.
So my main thing I wanted to kind of say in the beginning was No donations, no obligations. You know, if people give you money, if I give you a dime, I expect something for it. And that's just the true fact of the matter. And it's, you work hard for your money. I work hard for my money. That's what I expect. I expect things from my money.
Let me give you a little devil's advocate here, because I've met with Teddy Stewart, Lisa Johnson, Tony Anderson, Boots McCormick. 3 of those have received donations from the Foreman family
Yes,
in
they
Davie,
have.
Florida, and you know the Foreman family owns property here. Isn't it their right to contribute to a campaign as much as anyone else?
You know, this is America. Absolutely, it is. You know, but it's also the constituents of this county's rights to not like it.
Right.
Everybody's free here in America,
Right.
and I don't know. It's more so evident today than it has ever been in my life. I've got friends from Texas calling me, telling me, Phillip, it says in the Bible when the churches are empty that Jesus is coming. And I ask them, well, are the churches empty? And they tell me yes. And I tell them, well, you're forgetting where your faith is then, because the church is you. We are the church. God's not talking about a building. When the buildings are empty, doesn't mean Jesus is coming. He means when all the people forsaken him, then he'll send his son back, and it won't be as pretty as the first time.
Right.
And I believe in that. That's where my compass is centered, and everything, all my faith is centered on the cornerstone of Jesus Christ as my King and Savior and God. So,
Do you know, there seems to be an aura of misdealings, if not corruption, around the Walton County government.
I'd say all over America.
Right. Yeah.
Government.
Government in general. Do you think that exists here? Do you think there's a real-
Absolutely. I would think you'd have to be foolish to think it doesn't exist. It's
here locally? And
locally,
Yeah.
I believe there's bad apples in every group. That's just a fact of the matter. And if people don't realize that, then they're hiding from the truth is what they're doing. So,
Assuming you're elected county commissioner and a development comes up, and the development is in line with the comprehensive plan, there's a few variances that are
don't believe in
requested.
variances.
What would you say to a person who said that the comprehensive plan has requirements that if are so satisfied, a variance should be granted? What would you say to a person who said, well, if the county denied that variance, showing that the requirements have been met according to the comprehensive plan, that would open up Walton County for a major lawsuit whereby the legal fees would be paid by the losing party, and those could be very high legal fees.
Absolutely.
Depending on,
Lawyers aren't cheap.
right.
I'm pretty sure they always keep
What
the
would you
money.
say about that in terms of,
You know what's going on right now? There's a 76 Motor Lodge gonna go down in Grayton Beach, and D.R. Horton is gonna build 150 houses on Draper Lake.
right,
So I've got so much chatter about it. I got into this race late. I didn't get the signatures. I had to pay the $2,600. That's how late I got into the race.
10-4.
I had one day to pay it. I went down there and paid it and got into the race.
well, I commend that, to be honest with you. I think we need, people who don't have a lot of ties in government, running, even if they don't win, to show
Yeah.
other people you gotta
You gotta
do it.
You have to get off the couch if you want to make a change.
Right.
We've got enough armchair quarterbacks in the world. And I looked out in society, and a friend of mine said, man, I can't do this, Phillip, can you please? And he was going to run for District 5. And I thought I'd lived in District 5, but the district lines change. It's funny how when you move somewhere, you're in one county, but 5 years down the road, or you're in one district, and then 5 years down the road, you're in another district.
Right.
So it worked out to where I'm in District 1, and I told the man, I said, you know what, I'm going to go home and ask my wife. I'm going to pray to God, and I'll give you an answer in 24 hours. And in 24 hours, I called him back, and I told him, yes, I'll do this. I'll step into this race with a leap of faith, and that's all I'm going to do. But as we're getting back to this Motor Lodge and Grayton Beach and Draper Lake, so there was so much chatter online about it that I took my time and drove and looked at the ordinances that they have posted. I'm a contractor by trade. This is what I do. And you can go online and you can see that I've said the only way we can fix the infrastructure in South Walton is to quit handing out permits, put in the infrastructure, then build, but only build where the people of Walton County want it to be built. I understand vacationers want to come here and use things, but they don't live here all year round. The people that live here should have the say. And if they don't want it, then I'm going to go to Tallahassee. It seems in the past everybody would get on the phone and call Tallahassee, and Governor DeSantis or Governor Scott isn't in. They'd hang the phone up and say, well, I'll call back tomorrow. I'm going to call one time, and after I call one time, if they don't answer the phone, I'm going to Tallahassee. I'll get a hotel room and sit there every day in their office. Somebody's finally going to call that main person, somebody's going to finally call that main person and tell them, you need to come in and talk to this man because he's not leaving until he gets an answer. And sometimes you have to fight for what you want. You have to, and I don't mean physically fight, but you have to get off the couch and you have to do some uncomfortable things sometimes. I cannot tell you how uncomfortable it has been entering this race, a man of faith that I am, and the faith that I have, and the love that I have for my family, and then I see what has happened just to me. I've got people calling me going, I heard your brothers had a stroke yesterday, or one of them died of a heart attack, and I'm like, who's saying such a thing? But this is the evilness and the vitriol that is inside of politics.
Again, getting back to what three of the candidates sort of described their role as in terms of approving these projects, these development orders and variances and such, it sounds to me like they have many committees to go through before it really gets to their desk, and those committees are in charge of making sure that the project lines up with the future use plan, the comprehensive plan, and that any variances requested line up with the requirements stipulated in the comprehensive plan.
That's right.
And so, again, by the time it gets to the commissioner's desk, they're relying on what everyone else has told them in terms of its approval status according to the comprehensive plan. And if all those check boxes are checked, what you're saying is that you would still vote no if you believed that it...
I think I would. Yeah, I would like to say I would. Just because you check all the boxes doesn't mean it belongs. It's...
And that would open up Walton County for lawsuit, and you would be okay defending that?
Well, I don't. It would open up. First of all, let me rephrase. Let me back up a minute here. So, I posted this on my Facebook page about the Draper Lake project. A gentleman said, "You're not going to get my vote because I don't want this to go on." Because I posted, if all the codes, all the requirements, and all the laws have been met, then there's nothing we can do. We have to do what the law says. Now, how do you fix that? We go to Tallahassee and get them to change the law. Can we do it in time for this project? Maybe not, but we can do it in time for the next one. There's always a place you can stop, and there's always a place you can start, and you can choose to go as far as you want to go. I'm willing to go all the way with it, but I do not want to cost the taxpayers any more money in legal fees or anything. So
you've heard of the phrase home rule.
That's right.
Right. I don't have a clear understanding of all the facets of it, but it appears it's the powers for a local municipality to write laws and ordinances that control things like short-term rentals, that control things like where TDC dollars are spent, and all of those things are controlled by the state level. So, we would basically have to convince the legislature to rewrite something that
absolutely
was a blanket for the entire state. You would be in favor of spearheading an initiative that kept an eye on Tallahassee and lobbied for interest that
absolutely
the local people cared about.
For the interest of Walton County. I'm not running for any other county. I'm not running. I would hope that Okaloosa, Bay, all of them, if we can, let's get together. The more people that go up there and raise their voice, the more they have to pay attention to those people. It's almost like what's going on the other side of America right now. There is only a few people doing, the population of America is 330 million people. I'll give it to you that there might be 1,000 to 10,000 people out there. Those 10,000 don't represent the other 329 million people. That it's a small group, but they're screaming the loudest, so the media is focused on them the most. So you don't have to be destructive. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to have such hate and vitriol in your life. I believe if you do, then you need to find something else to do other than the job that I'm seeking. You need to do it with a good open heart and a good open mind. I've had people tell me, Phillip, there's certain things you believe in that they don't believe in. And I have told those people that if if I win this seat, or when I win this seat, every day I have to check myself at the door, and I have to represent the people of Walton County. It doesn't matter what I want. You know, what I want is to win the lottery and be independently wealthy for the rest of my life and never have to work again. But that's not going to happen. So I'm going to go to work every day. I'm going to do what I know is the common sense and sane thing to do. I'm going to get up every morning because my children like to eat every day. They like fresh running water and they like electricity. Everybody does. And right now we're in some hard times, you know. So you have to be very careful of what you say. People attack you for just a couple of words. You know, I've never seen so much hate publicized on TV, but I believe that's what they seek, those people that publicize it on TV. They want to seek destruction for some reason. I don't understand it because I believe there's more good people on this planet than there is bad.
I hope so. Getting back to development, I think I know the answer to this question, but could you imagine a scenario where you would vote to change the height restriction requirement?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think I could ever. I mean, I don't see why. I mean, if you want to go to Miami, go to Miami. Mm-hmm. If you want to, I had a discussion with, there was an incident that happened in a little community in Walton County that used to be called the Sleepy Bedside Community in a movie picture. Hollywood came and made a movie there. And an incident a lot of people know on Facebook that happened of a young man taking a little bit of a beating. And it's funny, this thing right here, I call this a stupid box, really, because a lot of people get themselves in trouble. And I got myself in trouble this weekend because of this phone, because I read something about Seaside that said an 11-year-old boy was beat down. Come to find out, the young boy was not 11. He was 15. He was 15, 14, 15. He was harassing some people. Did the man that did what he did have the right to do that? Absolutely not. And if I would have been there, it would have been a different outcome, I would believe. I don't like to, I'm not a person that likes to see violence, but I'm a person that will go stop it. And I'm not it's called fight or flight. Well, I already know where I stand in that because I've been put in those instances. I don't flight. I'm the guy that's going to head towards it and try to tamp it down because I have children and a wife usually with me at the time. I give them my keys and tell them, you go get in the truck. I'm going to see if I can help calm the situation until the proper authorities get there. But like I said, I read some stuff on here that wasn't true, got me in a little bit of trouble. And as soon as I get finished with this interview with you, I'm going to go apologize to the man face to face that I mentioned a name on this. Mm-hmm. And it was the wrong name, and I had to go back and retract it and tell him, and I wrote an apology. But that's not good enough for me. I want to drive to the man and let him see my face. I'm not going to hide behind this little piece of equipment. And too many people do that today. Too many people throw things out there and hide behind it because nobody will ever come and stand in front of their face and ask them, what do you mean? What are you saying? Yeah. You know, like we used to have to do in the old days.
In terms of locals and local issues, you know, there seems to be, and you tell me if you have this feeling, but it seems to be a feeling that locals don't really get paid attention to much here, that it's all about the tourism and what's good for tourism is good for the locals. How do you feel about bringing up new facilities, an aquatic center or places where, you know, the youth can gather and
I feel we need it. That's one of my big campaign things is I think we need to spearhead the trade school that we have on the north end. I don't understand why we don't have affiliated with that trade school, why we don't have a building in the middle of Walton County that teaches carpentry, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. And I don't understand why we don't have a huge campus on this island that teaches marine, everything to do with water, biology, you know, marine biology, everything. How to clean water, how to filter water, just a school, a technical school, not so much a college. I'm not so big on colleges. I like technical schools and hands-on training. It's kind of blows my mind that we're not already set up that way. You would think that would be something.
Technical school, that's got a nice ring to it.
That it does, and it's but I mean, you know, for fish and for aquatics and for biology and for everything done in the area where the water is. Let's go up to the midsection and train people how to build things, and let's go up to the northern section because they already have a school up there that teaches, I believe, computer science, I believe they've got aids for like dentistry stuff and stuff like that. So you already have that on the north end. Let's put some construction school in the middle, and let's put an aquatic school all off the same trade school affiliated with the one up north. It just blows my mind that we haven't done that yet and brought. We're so dependent on tourist dollars. That's the whole reason why I'm in this race, because this pandemic opened my eyes. It's like the good Lord ripped the blanket off the face of society and said, now I'm going to show the world who you really are. And we've gotten to see who they really are. You see the people by what they say on TV and what they do and how they act. And it's just unbelievable to me, half the things I'm seeing and hearing. So what I want to do is I want to fight for the people of Walton County. I believe our height restrictions should stay at 57 feet. You know, I believe that we don't need any big motor lodges on 30A. I believe if a house is built with 3 kitchens and 12 bedrooms, that's not a house, that's a mini motel. I believe that house ought to be charged accordingly. They ought to have the proper licenses. They ought to have to do everything that a motel or a hotel has to do. It just doesn't make sense to me. And these are these mega homes, they call them out on 30A, that they have these mega homes, but there's only 2 parking places. Why would you build such a structure to hold 16 people with just 2 parking places? You know, it just blows my mind sometimes.
Well, parking's a local issue. How do you feel? What is the solutions to the parking?
We need some structures that we're going to have to beautify in some way. We can use the youth. If we had a college in here, we could ask them and give them projects. For one, we could right now go to South Florida or the Gators or the Seminoles and say, listen, we want, in y'all's organization, we're going to pay y'all to figure out a way to filter water, clean water. Let's clean the bay. Because the young mind is eager to learn and wants to step out. And there's children that are going to school that want to lead. There's natural leaders in this world that want to lead. And if we give them the tools and the ability to do that, we might be able to fix half the things that we've gotten wrong with these areas. But I think 30A.
How do you feel about golf carts, low-speed vehicles, e-vehicles?
I feel that they're okay in certain areas, but it's kind of hard to put a low-speed vehicle on the road with something that does 100 miles an hour and weighs 6 tons.
Would you be in favor of any ordinance that reduced that sort of traffic from the scenic highway, for instance? You know,
from 90, are you saying golf carts from 98?
Well, no, I don't think golf carts are allowed on 98 now.
There have been plenty of them out there because I've been behind them.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean the bigger vehicles, the 100 mile an hour, 6-ton vehicles. Would you?
Now, then again, you're getting into people's rights and the right to choose what they want and what they want to buy, and the seller and the buyer. This is America. We're free. If you want to go buy a gas, guzzling diesel, go buy a gas, guzzling diesel. I own one. I need one to pull the barges that I need. I put in 30 and 40 foot poles.
On Highway 30A.
Oh, on 30A. Mm-hmm. Now I understand the question.
And maybe the scenic
highways. I think that there's areas that we could shut 30A down and have nothing but golf cart traffic, and then build some parking garages. And when you pull in a parking garage, they're going to get, when you rent a space, and they tell you pull up to level B, number 29, and level B, number 29, there'll be a golf cart sitting there waiting for you. You back it out, you pull your car in, get in your golf cart, and put your suitcases in it, and head on down to the house you're going to stay in. Mm-hmm. You know, there's many ways to fix many things, and I don't understand why we're all fighting over them so many. It's really actually common sense.
How do you feel about beach vendors and how they're treated?
I like beach vendors. I grew up with them around here. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of beach vendors around here. We need the beach vendors around here. What we need is to quit being so dependent on nothing but tourism dollars. We need something else. If we had a massive trade school, south, mid, and north end of Walton County, it would bring its own revenue in.
I mean, how do you feel about customary use?
Customary use. I believe the good Lord made the earth, and if you open the Bible and read the first page, it says God made earth. He made the earth first, and then he made man. So I'm pretty sure he did it that way so we could all enjoy the earth together. So everybody gets to enjoy the Grand Canyon. Everybody gets to enjoy the mountains. My grandfather once had a neighbor that was in a fight with a golf course over his windows being broken. And the golf course won because the course was built before the house was built. Well, that beach was there before any houses were built. And people have been coming to that beach forever. So I believe everybody ought to be able to use the beach.
Do you think the resolution to this will happen quickly? It's
I
in
do
judges'
not.
hands now.
I don't believe it's going to happen fast because there's too much money involved. There's deciding yes or no is big business, especially for lawyers and people that take advantage of those situations, you know. I believe they're trying to chew up every dime they can before they give us an answer. I believe as long as they could litigate it, the more they're going to get paid for this. So, it's, it's a slippery slope. Definitely.
Definitely is.
Customary use, so I think everybody ought to be able to use the beach, including the people that own the houses on the beach. I don't believe that you own to the water on the beach. I believe the beach. Now, do I believe people should be setting up monstrosity structures in front of these houses? No, but I don't believe homeowners should run out of their houses and holler at people and kick them off the beach. That's right. Crazy to me.
If a private beachfront owner has a deed and that deed shows that it's to, a point that's pretty close to the water's edge, what mechanism, the mechanism is in place now, House Bill 631, and we're down this path to decide. But
that's right.
It sounds to me like everyone thinks this is going to be something drug out for 5-10 years, a long time. What happens in the meantime? You've got two sides arguing about, who can walk on their beach and who can't. Does the sheriff start issuing trespassing notices to people that are on the beach? Does it kind of get non-enforced like the public's mask ordinance, or, what do you think it looks like in the near future?
It's hard to say what the future looks like. I can say what I wish it would look like, but, wishes or dreams, they're all, it is what it is, a wish.
Right.
I just wish we could have all come together before we put this into litigation. It's kind of hard to yank something out of litigation and fix it, because once the lawyers and the judges get a hold of it, pretty soon the judge is going to slam a gavel down on this issue. And one side's going to lose, and they're not going to be happy. And once again, back to, like I said, my grandfather was telling me about the issue with the neighbor of the golf course. The golf course was there before you built your house. So you have to deal with the golf balls flying through your window. Well, the beach was there and people were going to it before these houses were here. So they have to deal with that. It's just like the bay. You can't, if you live on the golf course, you can't kick the golfer off the golf course when you buy a house on the golf course. If you live on a ski slope in Tahoe, when the snow hits the ground and the skiers come down the slope, you can't kick them out, and you can't kick the people out of the bay, so you shouldn't be able to kick people off the beach. Now, you just asked about somebody that had a deed to a certain area. When did you get that deed? How many beach renourishments did the taxpayers pay for since you got that deed? What day was that deed made? There's so many things that people are leaving out of that question that is just common sense. Tractor trailer, give you a quick story. Tractor trailer got stuck underneath a bridge, and it had a caption with the mayor, the sheriff, and the fire chief standing there, and they didn't know how to get this tractor trailer out from underneath the bridge. A little station wagon was driving by. A little girl rolled down the window and looked out at him and said, "Let the air out of the tires," and they just kept going. And they all scratched their head and let the air out of the tires and backed the truck up. Some things are simple to fix. We complicate them. I'm not in this for the money. I'm on record on coastal connections in Defuniak and Freeport, stating that I'll give my first year's salary to build a bowling alley or a movie theater or whatever they want up north. But if I'm going again on this Thursday to be on that, and I want to rephrase that. I want to ask them, let's ask the people of Walton County what I don't even know what I would make if I win this seat. But I make enough in my business, my profession, that I can support myself so I can donate my salary to a good cause. I think we ought to build them maybe on the north end of bowling alley or a skating rink.
Our video camera just cut off there for a second, but you were explaining you're going to be on Coastal Connection up in Defuniak. You're going to rephrase a statement about donating your first year's salary.
That's right. What I want to do is ask, maybe we need to fill the food pantries first. You know, people might be hungry up there. Maybe right now is not the time for a bowling alley. Maybe it's time to fill people's refrigerators so they can eat. Meals on Wheels might need to be supplied for the elderly people that live in those areas that can't get out and take care of themselves, that can't get out in society because of this virus, because they have underlying issues. So I still want to donate. My money's still going to be donated, the first year's salary, to the north end of Walton County. But instead of me telling them what I think the salary should be spent on, I'm going to let them tell me what they think the salary should be spent on. And I thought after I got home, I thought that was kind of arrogant of me to say that I'm going to donate my salary and build a bowling alley. What if they don't want a bowling alley? What if they want macaroni and cheese and ham and bread because they haven't eaten? You know, what good is a bowling alley going to do you when you're broke and you can't even pay to go inside the bowl?
Hey, just a couple of other topics. Infrastructure. You know, we talk about recruiting other industries here.
That's right.
What would be your top 3 infrastructure projects if?
Water, sewer, and affordable. I mean, we need some affordable housing. I don't know if you would put that in with infrastructure or not, but, you know, something that's affordable. That was one of the main reasons why I got into this race, is because I have a 24-year-old daughter I have a grandbaby that's a year old. I've got twin 23-year-old daughters, and I have a 12-year-old son. And as it stands right now, if my children want to stay here, they can't even afford to live in this area. They have to move 45 miles, 45 minutes from here on a clear, perfect day with nobody on the road, which we know that doesn't exist in Walton County. It usually takes, when you get to 98, it usually takes an hour to go a mile during the season, what we call the season. So we need a new back beach road. I'm wondering why we hadn't built a road out here where the power lines is, why they're right here where this church is. And I understand this church is sitting, we could go off the side of it, but this power line goes down the whole island. Why didn't somebody a long time ago think, you know, that's government-owned land for the power lines? I know people can come and purchase the land and build structures, but let's put at least just a 1-lane each way road in case there is blockage on 98.
And if you were recruiting other industries to come to Walton County to work,
any and all, anybody, you know, we have the I-10 corridor of, I believe it's 26 miles of I-10 and 28 miles of beach, or it's 26 miles of beach and 28 miles of I-10, one or the other. But we're not using it for anything. And there is many buildings up there that are already built sitting empty. You know, what does it take to make an N95 mask company? You need some sewing machines and some people in a building. Well, we got plenty of empty buildings. All we need to do is put some sewing stuff in there and some people that know how to operate those machines, and let's make masks, gowns. People say, well, you know, one day the pandemic's going to be over. Yeah, but you're always going to need surgery, and you're always going to need hospitals, and there's going to be another pandemic. There's always going to be something else. Let's not get caught with our pants down again. Let's think ahead for a little while, and let's quit catering to just, we talked earlier about TDC, and there's organizations, TDC has to spend 40% of their money on advertising, from what I understand. That leaves 60%. What can we spend that other 60% on? Helping people that are hungry, helping the homeless. Why do we have to advertise our beach? Everybody in America knows that beach is there, and it's white sand and blue water. I don't believe that we should be paying millions of dollars to get that word out there. It's already known. Let's pay millions of dollars to tell them about Morrison Springs up on the north end and how beautiful it is, or the hiking trails, or, you know, there's so many other ways that we could spend our money wisely, you know, than we are now.
The 60% that the TDC has to spend, it has to have a tourism component to it.
Yes. But it doesn't have to be just about the beach, though.
Right.
We can have tourists on the north, and there's hiking trails, springs, lakes, history. You know, Walton County is beautiful from the Alabama line all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. You know, I've lived here for a long time. I know I've been all over this county. I've been down a lot of roads people don't even know exist. You know, so it's beautiful everywhere, and I believe that we ought to make it all shine. I know people like to come to the beach, but there are other things to do here. And maybe some days when you come to the beach and you look out there and say, well, there's no parking places, what do we do? Don't drive all the way back home. Go up north and hit the springs. Go to some of our rivers, some of the aquatic areas we have up north, some of the history, some of the museums. There's why we're spending the money we're spending to buy some tractors. That Walton County was a farming, up north was a lot of farming areas, and I believe we can go back to farming. You know, we do strawberries, tomatoes. I mean, there's all kind of things growing up there. Go up and see those farms. You know, it's fun to play in them. It's fun to enjoy the day in them. You don't have to come just see the beach. There's beaches. The United States of America has a beach all the way around it, you know, until you hit Canada.
Right.
But there's a lot of beaches everywhere, a lot of water everywhere, a lot of sand everywhere. So, you know, you don't have to just come here to see the beach. We have much more to offer than just a beach.
Well, Mr. Cryar, I really appreciate your time, and I wish you
appreciate
all
you.
the best luck in your campaign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.